Thank the Lord I'm not, sir. The kind of man that I would be a rugby fullback. I find touch, she find touch, we both find touch together. We'd be alright in the middle of the night, finding touch together. If I were the marrying kind, which thank the Lord I'm not, sir. The kind of man that I would be a wing 3/4.
This is Initiate the Contact here on the Deep End Broadcasting Network. It is Wednesday night, March the 22nd, 2023, and the spring is here. And can you believe we've already played 5 full weeks in Major League Rugby? All right, so we're starting to get a good sense of how the teams are. I am your host, Stephen Murray. The coach, Dayle Runner, is out in Windsor seeing his older brother. He may join us down on the farm here in our last segment, to be determined. Once he finishes up his family stuff and he's on the road, we may still hear from him. But we will have on Alexander Dayle from the Rugby Network. He's been with us before a couple of times, and it'll be a good time to, with the Six Nations ending, it'll be a good time to go ahead and focus on Major League Rugby and where everything stands with that. And if you can get, well, that's kind of one thing I want to talk about. And if you can actually get the games on TV. How about this? So we were slated to have on the DC Old Glory game and Toronto last week, which Old Glory won emphatically. And it was scheduled for a Fox Sports 1, or as Fox Sports 2. I can't even remember which one. But they kicked it off to the Fox app and took it off network TV. So you had to actually go to the Fox app after you clicked on through the two Fox Sports networks, after you tracked those down on your television. And once you realized that you got put on the Fox app for PBA bowling, that was a little rough. So that tells you where maybe the eyes of rugby are in the world of sports, where a PBA event can take precedence over a rugby match. So that was sad to see. Hopefully Fox can get their act together a little bit more. I'm sure the money didn't change any differently. I'm sure the same money will change hands and be put into the pockets of Major League Rugby. But that's not what we're talking about in terms of having good exposure. Now, was that a local thing for me? I don't think so. I flipped to the local networks, think that it was going to be on our local Comcast here because we are in the Old Glory area, but I could not get it on the local channels. It wasn't on those. Yeah. Unless I missed something wrong, that's a bad shame on the part of Major League Rugby. I'll ask, or on Fox anyway, not Major League Rugby. Upsetting for Major League Rugby. Bad on Fox. I'll ask Alex about that. Maybe he knows a little bit more. And we actually have gambling lines out, which we could discuss. So the more they've played these games here in the last few weeks, I guess the more the bookmakers have a feel for the odds. And they actually have point spreads on these games, which are down on your ticker below. And maybe we can get a little gambling wagering lesson, because there's all kinds of fun stuff you can do with moving the lines there. If you notice on Sunday, the Chicago-Seattle game is off the board. I think that still is because it's still premature in the week, at least for Sunday. Usually the lines have been showing up on Thursday, Fridays after the broadcast. Now that you see lines for Saturday here on Wednesday night, they're getting a little more comfortable, maybe not ready to quite to give you a line for the Sunday game. That's just what I'm going to guess there. I don't think it's for any major injuries. All right, we'll get Alex's take on everything. Let's get you caught up on everything that happened in Major League Rugby, actually, just so you are aware. And if we go back to the results last week, New England beat New York on Sunday 33-18. That was a good game for a while, and I got my eyes on a few of these games for sure. I'll tell you what I've noticed here in a second. But New York falls to New England 18-33 for New York, the home team there. Old Glory gets a nice win at home against Toronto, 29-3. Toronto is now going to be your lowest scoring team in Major League Rugby. They've only had, I think, 44 points on the season scored. We'll go through the standings and break all that down here in a second. Chicago gets their first win as a franchise. All right, they beat Dallas 24-22 in what was the closest game of the weekend. So the Chicago Hounds get that goose egg out of the win column, and they can get a check mark for their first franchise victory over Dallas. Dallas has been picked on this season so far, so a tough start for them after a rough season last year. San Diego, a big win in Atlanta. They won 35-10, so they flexed their muscles there. That was a game on Saturday. Also on Saturday, how about NOLA, 37-14? See, we thought NOLA was good. We knew they had some horses, and Utah goes down 37-14 to NOLA. If we look at the standings in Major League Rugby, they get awarded points for the following. You get 4 points for a win in a match, 2 points for a draw, 0 if you lose. You get 1 point if you lose by 7 points or less, which I like that rule. That's a good rule. And you get 1 extra point if you score 4 tries or more. And if you're new to rugby and you're listening to a show about rugby for the first time, you're like, what's a try? Basically, a try is your touchdown. In fact, football, if you think of the word touchdown, what does that mean? It means, I don't know. What does that mean in football? The actual word touchdown. Well, that is the physical movement in rugby in which you put the ball to the ground to gain your points. So that is an actual touchdown, which means a try in rugby. All right. So 4 tries or more, you get 1 extra bonus point. That's the best way I could have described that. Did I mention I do 0 show prep for any of these shows whatsoever? Pretty amazing. The Alien Show coming up next. How about that? Inquisition Unknown will air a special broadcast tonight at 8:30. Good guest on there, Mr. Rhymes, a filmmaker. So you want to tune into that. Let's see here. In the standings, in the East, New England sits at the top, 15 points. Old Glory, DC, 2-2 overall, 12 points. New England is 3-1. New York is 2-3. Some teams have played 5 games. Some teams have played 4. We've had bye weeks already. New York with 10 points. The Gold in 4th place, 2-3 with 10 points. Rugby Atlanta in 5th place, 2-2 with 10 points. Toronto still not out of it. They've still accumulated 5 points. They do have 1 win. So Toronto 1-3. But they, like I said, they've only scored 43 points on the season. They've given up 111. That is not going to be the most. That was NOLA, but I think NOLA is the team that's going to solve their problems that they've had early in the season. They are correctable, and they're a good team, and I think they're starting to show it with the big win over Utah. We'll see if they can keep their momentum rolling. Atlanta, not scoring much, 78. They've only scored, but they haven't given up much. They've given up the least amount of points here in the East with 89. So notate that. NOLA with 100. All these teams are going to be the same here, 1 through 4, in terms of scoring points. NOLA 110, New York 107. DC in 2nd place, working our way up from 4th place with NOLA, has 110. The Free Jacks have 115. Free Jacks decent on defense, only giving up 90 points a game total. 90 points total. So that's 4 games for them. 98 points for DC. They've allowed. The Iron Workers have allowed 100. NOLA 119. The plus minuses are all right there, really, except for Toronto, who's a minus 68. Atlanta is a minus 11. NOLA minus 9 point differential. New York is at plus 7. DC plus 12. And New England plus 25. So everything that's really happened has not really cheated the standings much in terms of how everyone sits there in the East. Okay, in the West, it's a little different. because you have an undefeated Seattle team, but they've only played 4 games, but they are unbeaten, 4-0. Second place, are behind San Diego, who's the first place team, who's played 5 games, but also has 4 wins. They have 21 points accumulated for the division record. Okay, and just 1 loss for San Diego. They did lose that 1 game to Houston. 145 points scored for San Diego. So they're your high flyers in the league right now, and they've only given up 70. So really good on defense. That's going to be less than anyone else as well. So they've now scored the most and have allowed the least. Not allowed the least. Seattle's going to have that with 55 points, but San Diego is going to be second best. Seattle has only given up 55 points. They've scored 112 themselves. Houston has scored 111, and they've only given up 76. So good defense there. And then it drops off. Points scored have been a struggle for all of Utah, Chicago, and Dallas. Utah was 78, Chicago 87, Dallas only 69, and Dallas has given up the most points, 147, with a minus 78 point differential now. Utah has a minus 27 point differential, but that is worse than Chicago, who sits behind them with a minus 18. Houston, third place, solid team, 35 points to the positive for them. And they have 15 points. So right there's some separation with the top 3 and the bottom 3. San Diego has 21 points, Seattle 17, Houston 15, and then 9-6-3 for Utah, Chicago, and Dallas. All right, so you're caught up there. The couple things that I've noticed in Major League Rugby, a lot of scores by the wing, which, that's supposed to happen in rugby for sure. Wingers getting the ball and getting in. But I feel like it's the same play. It's like a spin wide, close to the goal line. Let's just throw it way deep to the winger. I guess the defenders are getting sucked in more, not thinking that's going to be the play. I'll ask Alex if he notices the same thing. But just bad tackling as well. That's really the only 2 things I've noticed from last week. Bad defense in terms of letting the winger score, and then just some bad, shabby tackling overall as well. Real quick on the Six Nations, Ireland wins that. They win the Grand Slam. Nice victory over England. Not super convincing, but England held their own, and they tried to score to the very end, even down a couple players via the red card and a sin bin. They were late, so they had to play 2 men short. But England still tried to knock on the door, just couldn't get it in. They played a valiant effort, but Ireland hoist the Six Nations trophy. They looked great the whole tournament, very deserving. One of the more convincing teams that we've seen here in recent years, maybe all the years that I've been watching Six Nations, to be honest. They were the favorites and the darlings by the bookies, and they showed why. Really exactly why that was the case. Scotland, a great performance for them to finish 3rd for sure. So things look up. Even Italy played hard. So definitely more balanced rugby. We'll get more from Tom Zuch on all that next week. He was in Ireland for all of that. He's just now getting back to the States, and we'll get a recap on some of that with Zuch. You've heard him here on the show before as well, so we'll have him on next week too. But shabby tackling, a lot of wing scores, it looks like to me. We have a little separation of the power teams and the teams that are struggling for sure. And we have a couple teams we have question marks about that we think are still good teams. We're going to get Alex Deagle's breakdown on all of this. We'll go ahead and take our first break because we need it. Hockey show, workout, rugby show, Inquisition, unknown alien show coming up next. So a long night here in the studios of Deep End Broadcasting and no Dayle Runner coaching studio. So I'm going to have to handle all the talking duties here by myself, at least for this one too. We'll see if Alex Deagle can help me out here in a few minutes. We'll get some more rugby stuff with all the teams and see what we can get for the games coming up. We'll be back after this.
Hey, does your home have algae or stains on the siding? Is there grime built up on your deck or brick patio? Coastal Pressure Washing Services has a warranty of professional services. From pressure washing to window cleaning to deck and vent staining, as well as dryer vent cleaning, you got it all. Call Coastal Pressure Washing at area code 757-439-9810 or visit our website at coastalpressurewashing.net. Again, call Coastal Pressure Washing at area code 757-439-9810 or visit our website at coastalpressurewashing.net.
Tired of your swimming pool's diatomaceous earth pool filter, the constant cleaning, green pool, cloudy water? I thought this was supposed to be clean. Trust your swimming pool's water quality with a custom sand filter install. A clean, easy solution for your swimming pool operations. Contact Dependable Solutions at 757-354-5517. Do you want to advertise with Deep End Broadcasting? Send us an email at deepend757@yahoo.com. That's deepend757@yahoo.com.
Know your gambling limits. Don't ever bet what you can't cover. Wagering on sports is only fun when you do it the right way. Not every bet will win. When you get on a bad run, know it and avoid trouble. Know your gambling limits.
Control your alcohol. Don't fight. Don't drink and drive. Your one punch could kill someone. It happens. You're behind the wheel. You may think you are fine, but then the other driver is under the influence of texting, and then you are done. Control your alcohol.
Family owned and operated, CP Shuckers Cafe and Raw Bar specializes in delicious cuisine, refreshing drinks, and a laid-back atmosphere. We opened our doors in 1995 and have enjoyed being a place to either relax or celebrate ever since. Whether you are in the mood to indulge in a great meal with your friends and family or watch the game, we promise that our inventive menu, attentive service, and skilled bartenders will have you truly satisfied. Both of our locations have spacious outdoor patios for enjoying the breeze and catching a little sun. Our friendly staff at CP Shuckers will make your next dining experience a pleasant one by delivering personal care. We are open until 2 a.m. Full menu will be served until 10 p.m. and late night limited menu until 1 a.m. For larger parties, please give the location of choice a call. Pacific Avenue, 757-425-8676 or Shore Drive, 757-412-2929. More information at cpshuckers.com. Thank you for your continued support and have a shuckin' good time. Tired of your swimming pool's diatomaceous earth pool filter, the constant cleaning, green pool, cloudy water? I thought this was supposed to be clean. Trust your swimming pool's water quality with a custom sand filter install. A clean, easy solution for your swimming pool operations. Contact Dependable Solutions at 757-354-5517.
This is the Deep End Broadcasting Network.
If I were the marrying kind, which thank the Lord I'm not, sir, the kind of man that I would be a rugby fullback. I find touch, she'd find touch, we both find touch together. We'd be alright in the middle of the night, finding touch together. If I were the marrying kind, which thank the Lord I'm not, sir, the kind of man that I would be a wing three-quarter. I'd go high.
All right, this is Initiate the Contact here on the Deep End Broadcasting Network. I am Stephen Murray. This is your coverage of Major League Rugby, and who else better to break it down than the Major League Rugby reporter himself for the Rugby Network. I'm talking about Alex Dayle. He's been on the show with us before. Alex, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm well. How are you? I'm enjoying a very fast-paced, thrilling start to getting into this season. How about yourself?
Oh, yeah, man. In fact, I was just trying to kind of break things down in my head. I feel like we're starting to get a somewhat clear picture of the teams. And obviously the teams who aren't doing so well now kind of know what they need to do. But let's just go ahead and recap it. I think this is a good time now that we've completed 5 weeks. Can you believe that already? We're going into round 7. So let's start there. We'll go division by division, and you can try to answer some questions that I may have the best that you can. Okay, we'll go with the East first. Let's start there. The first thing that I noticed between New England, Old Glory, New York, and NOLA, and even with NOLA's slow start, they've all scored basically about the same amount of points. All right, so that's good. And defensively, not much of a difference, a little bit more of a variation, but still right there. And I think NOLA is definitely trending in the right direction. I think maybe New York's a victim of playing some good teams so far. That their 2-3 record just shows that there are some really good teams in there, not necessarily that New York's a bad team. Even Atlanta is in that boat, although they haven't found offense. They definitely have one of the better defenses here, definitely in the East as far as points allowed go. And poor Toronto, they're just struggling completely. But I'm not seeing much separation really in what looks like a very competitive East so far. What's your take there?
Yes, I mean, you're right on the head. The East is a little bit tougher to figure out this year as far as who's going to be taking it at the end of the day, at the end of the season. I think we'll get a better idea when we get a little bit more interconference play after, as we said, the first quarter of the season's under us. Teams are starting to develop an identity. We get a little bit more interconference play if a matter of like the East kind of beating up on itself right now, or if the West really is kind of the superior conference with their top 3 teams, as we're kind of seeing early on the leaderboard. But New York kind of started not particularly impressive last year before ended up winning the championship. So no real surprise or cause for alarm there. New England starting out as they did, at the top of the table as they ended last season. And Old Glory, kind of predicted a comeback season from them. Taking an eye on a lot of their South American talent that they brought in. So no surprise that they're looking a little bit better in holding 2 right now. But keep an eye on that NOLA Gold team. It was easy to write them off at 0-3 after the season they had last year. I believe they were 5-11, but it was the team. They put a lot of work into their roster overhaul. And I think it's just taken a little bit of time for guys to gel, and now we're kind of seeing the results these last couple of weeks. What they beat New York, not only did they defeat them, they beat them pretty soundly a couple of weeks ago.
Let's see here. Okay, let's skip on over to the West, and I think that's a little bit more decisive in terms of what you have for your top 3 to your bottom 3. San Diego, even with the 1 loss, sits there in first place. Seattle undefeated in second place. Houston is a good team still, 3-1 overall. Defensively, there's not much of a difference with these teams, except Seattle is really, really good on defense. With that seawall that you've talked about in earlier shows, just 55 points allowed for them. So those 3 teams look strong. And we've actually seen Houston beat San Diego, right? They've given them their lone loss. And then, just like in the East, or unlike in the East, you have the bottom tier of teams somewhat struggling, and they're having a hard time getting points. Utah, Chicago, and Dallas. Poor Dallas, they're just getting picked on again. But go ahead, and what's your take of the West so far?
Yeah, poor Dallas can't buy a win, losing on a penalty kick at the end of last week. San Diego, Seattle, Houston are all super impressive. They would all, in spite of the fact of them being in the same conference, they would all be my top 3 betting teams to win it all this year. I just think they look a little bit head and shoulders. We'll see, like I said, when we get a little bit more interconference clash with the East, if how those teams pan out. Seattle undefeated, looking like they have fully retooled and, are fully fledged Death Star once again. Houston being the team to knock off San Diego, and then Seattle being the team to knock off Houston. I feel like it's going to be those 3 teams to the better end. So I mean, one of them, there's only one bye week for 3 spots. One's going to take top seed. The other two are going to have to play each other. And then at this point, I would fully expect that the top seed from the West ends up being the one to win it all.
Do you think everything's going to pretty much hold form here in the West as we go forward? Then just the top 3 teams are going to sit at the top, and then those bottom 3 are going to have a struggle?
I would agree with that, and I apologize here for any of our listeners here. Hearing my toddler come through and get but full house here in the Deagle basement. So yeah, no doubt. I think that the West is pretty well secured in terms of who's going to be the top 3, the bottom 3. Chicago, I did think on paper had a better I know they're a new team, but we've seen first-year franchises come out of the gates. I mean, New York made it to the semis. Obviously, LA won it all.
And plus, they got a taste of victory now too. They got that first win, which is always key.
So I mean, they could rally hard, but I do know, talking to Sam Harris for the season, that the biggest issue was depth. So for them to not come out of the gates a little bit, it's going to hurt because now they're going to start taking some issues. With injuries, unavailability, that kind of thing, like the rest of the teams are. So it might be a little bit harder for the rest than it is for the rest of the teams to rebound with that depth that the other teams have. So yeah, I mean, I do think we're going to be seeing San Diego, Seattle, Houston in the playoffs at the end of the year.
Let me ask you this. Okay, I had a gripe with Fox on Saturday because when I went to flip to watch the DC and Toronto game, it wasn't on. They said it was going to be on the Fox Sports app. They had bowling on instead. Now, I'm pretty sure I switched. Now, there's a lot going on. We have March Madness, hockey. But I thought I actually flipped through the local Comcast and Masson channels to see no rugby on there either, thinking maybe it got kicked onto there. I don't know. Do you have any more information on why they got the boot to bowling? Kind of a bad deal for Fox if that's the case, and upsetting for Major League Rugby. Or did I miss something?
I think it was a surprise to all of us without having to look at the books and knowing the contract. I don't know if there was any kind of violation of contract there, if it was kind of a flex. But yeah, I mean, it was unfortunate, and to your point, it wasn't any kind of a regional flex. It was just kind of this is this, and now it's this now. So it wasn't really fair to the.
And it was still on the guide schedule too. It was still on the clicker schedule of this is where you find this game.
Hear from an MLR exec if there was any kind of violation contract agreement there, or if that was kind of a Steelers choice from Fox Sports, which would be kind of weird.
Maybe I'm not doing good enough reporting on my end. Since this is my show and coverage, I should be going up the pecking order, demanding answers, Alex, I guess.
Oh, we all should be, but who are we going to now?
Right. So I was just surprised by that. Okay, my other take was this in general. I saw a lot of tries by wingers, which is fine, but it seems like they're just real close to the try zone. They're just spinning it wide. Are these defenses just getting sucked in poorly? They're letting these wingers just put it in the corner every time? Or am I missing something there too?
I think that you might be onto something without, having the replays fresh in my head right now. But MR became so known for those rolling maul tries off of lineouts. New York was kind of the first to specialize it, and then any sport, they see success and they copy it. So it became really well-known league-wide. And I've seen those slow down, how many teams are just successfully rolling in tries off of line-out with that line-out maul. So it could be that, it's sucking in more defenders to stop that maul, and then it's just making it a little bit easier to squeeze one in on the outside.
Okay, yeah, all right. So a lot of that I noticed. The other thing I did have noticed, too, is still some shabby tackling out there. I guess you probably noticed that, too. But, I mean, that's rugby in a nutshell, maybe. At times, if you got a tired defense or whatever, you're just trying to throw your hands up there trying to stop a guy. You kind of lose your wrapping ability. But it seems to me I've seen some shabby tackling in instances as well. Have you seen the same?
Yeah, I mean, these this first quarter of the season is always going to be a little bit.
That's what I kind of figured it was going to be too.
Because the unfortunate thing about MLR in our domestic league is that we offer about half of the time of the training ramp up that your typical professional team does internationally. That's been a big gripe from coaches that come internationally, which is most of them at this point. So it's almost like this first quarter, this first 4 or 5 weeks is like an additional training period, and I'm hoping to see some cleaner rugby, some fitness under some guys' belts, certainly some cleaner lineouts. It's kind of been my baby as a primary jumper my whole career, and now kind of a player coach specializing in lineouts and seeing the amount of turnovers and just like fakes to nowhere. I'm hoping to see things click a little bit better throughout all phases of the game here as we've kind of turned this quarter pole.
Okay. All right. In action coming up this week, I think we have some good games. Old Glory and NOLA, is that the most interesting game on the board to you?
I mean, they've developed like a nice little rivalry. It doesn't hurt that Nate Osborne coached both teams, and both of them are kind of in that similar vein. Is that they've been in playoff position before and yet haven't made it through to the playoffs yet. So that is an exciting one, and I think we're going to get a real litmus test of both of who these teams are. I mean, like I said, both are trying to make a comeback. They finished near the bottom of the standings last year. Old Glory sitting there at 2-2. NOLA's riding high with 2 wins after the opening 0-3 start. So yeah, that is an exciting one and one that we should all get ready to watch this weekend.
Okay, in other games too. And here's what I noticed, and as I was actually looking around our legalized state sports books, I've noticed that Major League Rugby lines are actually out on Wednesdays now. The point spreads for the following week, and I'm not asking you to handicap games for me or anything like that, Alex. But the one thing that I noticed now that they have some point spreads out there is New England is a very decisive favorite over Dallas. I mean, if you want to bet New England on a actual wagering bet, you can do it 2 ways. You can bet them to win by 22 points or more and get paid basically straight up. Or if you think that they can win the game straight up with no point spread, you must risk $6,000 just to win 100. And if you bet Dallas, you're getting paid nearly 20-1 straight up. Dallas would pay 100 if you put 100 on Dallas, you get paid. I think 1,800 is what it is now. So a huge disparity in risking 6,000 to win 100 versus putting 100 to win 1,800 on Dallas. Is that how far these teams are apart in your mind? I don't think it's that. I feel like it's a little closer to that.
These lines might be delayed from the 2022 season when Dallas was kind of decimated in every kind of way, as we talked about a couple shows ago.
Right.
No, this is not Alabama versus Alabama Tech. I mean,
right.
Dallas will
Okay.
still be winless, but they're not going down like they were at the end of last season when they were without a coach. Roster decimated by injury from a walking bridge collapse. Like
Right.
We just saw them lose by 2 points on Saturday.
Right.
Against, as we talked about, a very talented Chicago squad. Like, sure, it's in New England. The lack of travel, I should say, favors the home team. 22 is huge, man. Like, I mean, I am a betting man, and I will say I'm not betting it bad. That's right, like throw one of my classic $5 bets to see if it pays off big.
Yeah. See, that's kind of the point I was getting at. You could throw down $5 to win 90. The other one that's a disparity as well. I look and see is Houston is minus 9.5 over Atlanta. So that means Houston needs to win the game by 10 points. And if you kind of move the point spread around to where Atlanta just has to win by 3, you get paid 7-1 odds on that. Isn't that worth a shot?
I would say it is. Between the two bets, if we're trying to bet I could totally see Houston winning by 10 at home is the big thing there.
Yeah. Could you see Atlanta winning by 3?
But yeah, and
for sure, right?
I mean, I think it is a big spread, right? Like I would
Right.
expect Houston to win at home, but not necessarily win by 10. I wouldn't be surprised by it, but yeah, again, my money, I'm not betting them to win by 10.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What else should we look for here in the week or two ahead? Anything else specific this week? You have any other good articles you've been putting out there that the listeners can go to? What else you got?
No, like I said, I think the thing to look out for is if we're going to see a little bit of a shift in momentum of teams coming out of the quarter pole is the big deal, because these professionals do have a shorter preseason, a shorter window than it is in many other international leagues. So if you're in, don't count your championship yet. If you're out, don't count yourselves out yet. And I think we're going to starting to see a lot more parity than we saw again from last year, where there was like kind of big discrepancy in each conference. Like particularly in the East, I think that's going down to the wire. Everybody has reason to be excited there.
Mm-hmm.
We did talk about Houston, the West being maybe a little bit more of a 3-3, but hey, it's early. Anything could happen. Chicago get their feet under them. Dallas get that elusive first win, and Utah's got plenty of talent on that squad. So I think we're really going to see the identity of this league in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, great. Did you watch the Six Nations at all at the end? Did you see Ireland hoist the trophy?
Of course, and I actually saw. Oh goodness, the freaking center! I'm blanking on his name. That he wasn't going to go out for a fourth day of partying, and the whole team came to his basement apartment to him since he wasn't going to go out for them.
Oh, I didn't see that. That's awesome. Now I have to look into that.
Yeah. I'm completely blanking on his name. It's right in front of my face, but yeah, it was pretty hilarious.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, I got some good. Next week on the show, I have my boy Zuch, who was embedded in Ireland for all of that. He'll be on next week to share more from the local perspective from that. Okay, Alex, I appreciate it, man. Have fun watching the games this week. Good luck to you. Keep the family safe, and we will talk to you soon again, man. All right?
All right, thank you. You take care.
All right, take it easy.
Yep, bye.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, that was Alex Dayle from the Rugby Network. All the games can be seen on the Rugby Network. In fact, let's go ahead and do the schedule now. And then I need to take a quick break again. We have sushi out there in the lounge. I need to hit it real quick because we have Alien Show coming up, which you want to tune in for that for sure. All right. Big guest there from MUFON to talk some craziness there. Let's see. Old Glory and NOLA is 3 p.m. Saturday, and that's on the Rugby Network. All the games free if you get the Rugby Network app, and it works on your Roku as well, so you can just put it on your TV and watch it. Great coverage, too. Good, clean feed, good broadcasting. So highly recommend the Rugby Network in that regard. 4:30, so right when that game about wraps up, you can go and flip on to one of two choices. You have New England, who hosts Dallas, and that big point spread we talked there, and Utah hosts Toronto as well. We'll go through all these lines in a minute and give a couple examples of what you can do point spread wise. So two games there at 4:30, New England, Dallas, Utah, and Toronto. And then the night game on Saturday, we have two of them again, Houston and Rugby Atlanta, with Houston the host at SaberCats Stadium. And then at SeatGeek Stadium with the Chicago Hounds. This is a 4:00 Sunday game against Seattle, the Seawolves, lone undefeated team here in Major League Rugby. So, there we go. I might have a couple wrong times on the ticker, but at 3, 4:30, 4:30, and 8 p.m. on Saturday are your games. All of those on the Rugby Network. And then, again, on Sunday on the Rugby Network. So no Fox game. Fox, what's going on there? Thought we were going to have better coverage this year, Fox. We got bowling last week. Okay, let's take a break. We'll be right back. We'll go down on the farm, but we might keep it up in the majors. Coach Dayle, we won't have him. He's up in Windsor having fun with his family. So we'll leave him alone for tonight. And I will round things out with you here for the last few minutes down on the farm, which we'll just go to the, how about this? We'll go to the back of the farm, the back of the barn, and the old bookie shed. See what kind of wagers we can put down on these Major League Rugby games. All right, this is Stephen Murray. This is Initiate the Contact here on Deep End Broadcasting, your coverage of Major League Rugby. We will be back right after this.
Hey, does your home have algae or stains on the siding? Is there grime built up on your deck or brick patio? Coastal Pressure Washing Services has a warranty of professional services. From pressure washing to window cleaning to deck and fence staining, as well as dryer vent cleaning, you got it all. Call Coastal Pressure Washing at area code 757-439-9810 or visit our website at coastalpressurewashing.net. Again, call Coastal Pressure Washing at area code 757-439-9810 or visit our website at coastalpressurewashing.net.
Tired of your swimming pool's diatomaceous earth pool filter, the constant cleaning, green pool, cloudy water? I thought this was supposed to be clean. Trust your swimming pool's water quality with a custom sand filter install. A clean, easy solution for your swimming pool operations. Contact Dependable Solutions at 757-354-5517. Do you want to advertise with Deep End Broadcasting? Send us an email at deepend757@yahoo.com. That's deepend757@yahoo.com.
Know your gambling limits. Don't ever bet what you can't cover. Wagering on sports is only fun when you do it the right way. Not every bet will win. When you get on a bad run, know it and avoid trouble. Know your gambling limits.
Control your alcohol. Don't fight. Don't drink and drive. Your one punch could kill someone. It happens. You're behind the wheel. You may think you are fine, but then the other driver is under the influence of texting, and then you are done. Control your alcohol.
Family owned and operated, CP Shuckers Cafe and Raw Bar specializes in delicious cuisine, refreshing drinks, and a laid-back atmosphere. We opened our doors in 1995 and have enjoyed being a place to either relax or celebrate ever since. Whether you are in the mood to indulge in a great meal with your friends and family or watch the game, we promise that our inventive menu, attentive service, and skilled bartenders will have you truly satisfied. Both of our locations have spacious outdoor patios for enjoying the breeze and catching a little sun. Our friendly staff at CP Shuckers will make your next dining experience a pleasant one by delivering personal care. We are open until 2 a.m. Full menu will be served until 10 p.m. and late night limited menu until 1 a.m. For larger parties, please give the location of choice a call. Pacific Avenue, 757-425-8676 or Shore Drive, 757-412-2929. More information at cpshuckers.com. Thank you for your continued support and have a shucking good time. Tired of your swimming pool's diatomaceous earth pool filter, the constant cleaning, green pool, cloudy water? I thought this was supposed to be clean. Trust your swimming pool's water quality with a custom sand filter install. A clean, easy solution for your swimming pool operations. Contact Dependable Solutions at 757-354-5517.
This is the Deep End Broadcasting Network.
If I were the marrying kind, which thank the Lord I'm not, sir, the kind of man that I would be a rugby scrum. I put it in, she put it in, we both put it in together. We'd be alright in the middle of the night, putting it in together. If I were the marrying kind.
All right, this is Initiate the Contact. I am Stephen Murray. We'll go ahead and wrap up this last segment here. Just over the course of a couple minutes, we'll get on out of here and make way for Inquisition Unknown, ? Mr. Ron James, filmmaker, as our guest. All right, let's go through the point spreads. Let's do a little gambling lesson here. Old Glory is a 2.5 point favorite, as you see on the ticker. And they'll come out with some over-unders and stuff like that later on. If you want the straight money line, you got to risk 155 on Old Glory to win straight up. NOLA, if you put down 100, you get to win 145. Woo! Excuse me. Mouth is on fire. All right. So let's go here. If we look at some different stuff on the spread offerings, and we're going to click to some alternate lines here. You can do some fun stuff here. Now I can take Old Glory because I think they're going to win by 9 points, and I can risk 100 to win 185. If you think this game ends right at an 8-point victory, 28-20, you can bet that. You can get 24-1 odds on that. I wouldn't recommend that. Let's see. Old Glory. How about this? NOLA, if you think they're going to come in and win decisively by 10 points or more, you can get 6-1 odds. All right, so there's all kinds of fun stuff you can do there rather than your normal point spread to where you can get some kind of a big payout. In fact, let's do something like that where we're going to take NOLA. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen. I'm going to use this as an example. But we'll take NOLA minus 10 at plus 600, knowing that the point spread is minus 2.5 for DC. All right, how about this? We'll take the Dallas Jackals to win straight up at 17-1 odds. All right, just like Alexander Dayle from the Rugby Network said, this isn't Alabama against Alabama Tech, although there is no Alabama Tech, but you get the point. Against, the Citadel or Northeast Louisiana or something like that. So you're getting 17-1 odds on Dallas. We're going to put down NOLA minus 10 at plus 600. All right. And then how about this? Rugby Atlanta just to win straight up at plus 400. In fact, let's do this. Let's go to an alternate spread with Atlanta, thinking they can just get the job done very nicely on the road. Minus 3 is plus 600. So they need to win by more than 3. If they win right at 3, you're going to lose because there is a draw option, which will price you out. But if you think Rugby Atlanta can win 17-13 because their defense is great, or 21-15 or something weird like that, now you have a 3-game ticket of craziness. All right, you have NOLA Gold minus 10 at 6-1 odds. Parlay to Dallas Jackals, 17-1 odds. Parlay to Rugby Atlanta at minus 3 plus 600, which means they need to win by 4. All right, a 3-game parlay for $5 pays $4,405 just if those 3 things happen. Those 3 things can't happen. Rugby Atlanta can't just win the game at Houston. They've shown that they're a good defensive team. NOLA has showed that they're improving. They can't just get a couple extra tries. It's not like they were asking for a complete blowout just to win by 10. And then Dallas, almost on the cusp of victory next week, losing late. 17-1 odds to beat a New England team who's been good, but they've actually lost as well too. And, wasn't a competitive game against New York here recently. That's just a nice little chance. I mean, you're not going to win 4,400 at the 7-Eleven down the street on $5. I'll tell you that. But these 3 things could happen in a rugby game. You put $5 down and win 4,400. Hey, what if you want to put down $20 and really just kind of let it rip? You can win $17,620 off a $20 bet. I mean, I know some of y'all play those Queens of Machines and lottery tickets and stuff, but that's just some of the examples of things you can do, moving point spreads around, making some obscure combinations, and anytime you can get some big money lines on the plus side put together, and just investing the minimum to win the maximum. I mean, you're not asking the world for Atlanta to win by 4 points, Dallas to win straight up, and NOLA to win by 11 points. It's not like you're asking universes to collide or anything. So $20 wins at 17,620 there. Okay. You got the spreads. If you want to get into it and dabble, you can. We'll get Coach Dayle back on here next week. He'll be back in studio with us. Also, Tom Zuch will report back from Ireland and everything that happened there with the Six Nations. And Alexander Deagle from the Rugby Network. We appreciate him coming on tonight, discussing everything that's happened so far here in MLR. All right, I think we'll just go ahead and wrap it up. We need to get out of here and make way for the next show. This evening, a special broadcast of Inquisition Unknown with special guest Ron James with MUFON, the Director of Media Relations, and he's a filmmaker. Okay, so we'll be back with that here in a few minutes. Everyone who's a rugby fan and you're laying in bed, passing out, have a good night. See you next week. As we cue up the rugby music, see, I should be playing this as we're getting out. Takes an extra second or two to get going. Here we go. The docile sounds of the close of the rugby show. All right, guys, thank you for listening. We appreciate it. This is the Initiate the Contact. Signing off from Virginia Beach, Virginia, USA.
If I were a marrying kind, which thank the Lord I'm not so, the kind of man that I would be a big knock forward. I'd go down, she'd go down, we both go down together. We'd be alright in the middle of the night, going down together. If I were the marrying kind, which thank